Hello. So it is almost lunchtime, and so my plans for today. I have my swimming lesson, and then I have class later today. So I kind of like want like my time in this afternoon to be split between writing and exercising. So I want to do a little exercising. Maybe I won't be able to do 2 hours as I've been kind of like meaning to do, but if I get like an hour done, like that is good enough for me. And also I think I already mentioned that I already kind of like have stuff that I'll be watching because I need something that is very engrossing, something that really captures my attention for me to because when I'm watching something like that, I don't even like notice the time passing, and that's exactly what I want, because that's the key for me to kind of like exercise more, and which is kind of like what I want. It's part of my new strategy to kind of like only have like a healthier lifestyle, but also get back to like the way that I used that was before. So there's that. And so today I already went out with my mom. We went to a home improvement. We went to this, they call it like a power shopping, power mall, power shopping center. So there's like a lot of like different stores there, but I don't know if you would call it like a mall, as we call some other like venues. But we went to this home. We went to like a lot of like different stores that we have to get some stuff. For example, some silicone spoons, so we can use like on the pants that they are, like if you scratch them, like it leaves kind of like that animal that they have. One of like those things that it's not really uh, a processor, but it's kind of like that. But you kind of like pull a little cord, and that's pretty much what gets it going. We have a lot of stuff in the home improvement front. We have to buy this ladder, this one that it is kind of like tall, and it's like adjustable. So we got that one, and we had to buy some paint, some sprays, spray paint, and a little brush kind of like painted, and some like we bought like some other stuff. And so yeah, so that's kind of like what we did. And it was fun, like going out, kind of like, it's particularly when like you're doing something productive, like something that kind of like it has a role. Like it's always fun, to go out, but when we're doing something, I was gonna say meaningful, but like that is a very strong word. It's not what I meant to say. But yeah, so that was very pretty fun. And it was a good start of my day. I was already feeling kind of like tired, so I think we went out. And although I will say that when we came back, like I ended up laying down because I was kind of tired. So that is something for me to keep in mind. When we were going, my dad, he dropped us off when he was going to work, and yeah, so like back when I was sitting down in the car, like I was kind of feeling kind of tired, kind of like having like the urge to kind of like lay down, which it could be nothing, but it could be something. So I'm just noting that is kind of like the case here. But I have to kind of like record an audio for my doctor, my psychiatrist, but I'm kind of like waiting for things to kind of like pile up so I can talk about all of them. And for some things that started for me to see if like it's a pattern or if it's just an isolated incident. But yeah, so that's kind of what I have for today. I'll be able to kind of like do everything from home. So looking forward to that. Also, I'm really looking forward to kind of like finishing my novel. That is something that I think I'm kind of like like I'm missing. I'm kind of like excited about the prospect, how it's going to be like later on, when I finish it, like the sense of accomplishment, the fulfillment that comes from that. And I can't wait for that. I'm really looking forward to like that being kind of like the case. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the moment, but I have to kind of like work in the present. I saw this, I didn't really look too much into it, but it was an article, like a video, talking about how like everybody wants to be a writer but nobody wants to write. And that really resonated with me because sometimes I struggle to get things done, and that involves writing. So that is something that I'm kind of like I'm trying to kind of like counter that in whatever way I can. But yeah, so I kind of had a lot of like small things that I want to talk about, but for some reason whenever I get to a certain point, like I can't remember anything. So basically I'm gonna start with the last thing that came to mind, which is the fact that basically I want to change my habits. Like I think I'm doing pretty well. Like things external, to the outside world is like pretty much favoring me in a certain way because everything is working out great. And even like internally, I'm also kind of like making, progress. Like every day I feel like I'm dealing better with things, and I'm doing kind of like more, you could say, in terms of self improvement. But still, like there are some things that I'm kind of like tied to. I think the biggest example I have right now, not only right now, like the example that is very consistent and since always it has plagued me, which is like my fantasies. It kind of like like that leads to me kind of like not really living in the moment. Experiencing the present time, and that is an issue for me because I need to kind of like enjoy the time being, like the present, for me to kind of like want to keep living. So when I struggle with that, like that is like that is something that I kind of like I want to fix. But maybe like that attitude is in itself like what is what's wrong, because maybe this is not like a matter for me to kind of like fix. It's something that I have, because like I don't know if I have fully, because on one hand I want to say that I have fully embraced fantasies as they come, but there's always like that feeling underneath of like I don't think that I'm still fighting it. I'm still trying to kind of like go against like it was almost as if that is my nature. I'm kind of like fighting against it, and that doesn't really it doesn't lead anywhere. Like I feel kind of like I'm trapped in this cycle. It's kind of like going around in circles, and I'm not really hold up. Okay, so I just had to lay down for like a little bit because I don't know, like I'm feeling kind of weak. So the same feeling I had, in the corridor yesterday kind of like came over me. So that could be, something that could also be nothing. But as I said, like I want to see if this persists before I tell my doctor about this, because I think because it could say that I'll be sending like mixed signals, because as I mentioned yesterday, it feels like I might be getting up, and then this is something that happens when I'm getting down. Maybe it could be like a mixed episode, too. Those are always, I was going to say fun, but like they're not fun, but like they are interesting. It's kind of like how things they adapt, because sometimes like mania and depression, like they're kind of like opposites. So it's interesting like when I have a mixed episode that like is a mix of both. So it's kind of like interesting to see what I get from like each state, and yeah, so I like that. So yeah, I think this video is going to be rather short compared to my videos lately, specifically because I'm feeling kind of I'm not feeling dizzy, I'm not nauseous or anything, but as I said, like there is kind of like weakness. And I think I mentioned this many times before, but when I'm a little depressed or a little manic, I'm kind of like in that transitional period. Like it's sometimes like very helpful because I can kind of like do more, because when I'm manic I have too much energy, I cannot sit down and do things. When I'm depressed, I'm depressed, so I can also not do things, but it's kind of like different. So when there's just like a little depression or a little mania, it feels like here I'm kind of like settling down, so I can kind of like get myself to do things. And when I'm a little up here, I have not lots of energy, so I get involved in like many projects. But because it's not really up here yet, like because as I said, like when I'm up here, that is totally yeah, like that is very counterproductive. I end up struggling with kind of like with getting things done, as I said. Besides the other symptoms, it's just that the not getting things done, like that is the biggest one for me, because ultimately like that's what I want, that's what I expect from the situations in my life. Because like I'm now, for example, I was talking to my mom yesterday, after class had ended, and we were waiting for my dad, and actually my dad was already there, but we were going to the car. And it's interesting because she basically said that she found like it was kind of like funny, because what I'm kind of like describing how I'm feeling right now, it's like pretty much what normal people experience, and that was something that just like it just made a lot of sense. So when I'm talking about everything going well, was one of those things that I think that if you're kind of like a normal person, a regular person, however you want to put it, you just feel like, oh, that's very basic, that's just like how normal things work. But for me, like it is not, that's not my normal. So it is a very interesting kind of like situation that I have been able to reach normalcy, and it feels very different from everything that been happening before. And I think that this gives me like a different perception, and like a new appreciation for like the different stages that I've been in my life. It kind of like puts things into perspective, because I'm like, okay, like I really couldn't have done more, at those, at different points in time. Because when I look back, there's so many memories that I have that I've talked about this before extensively, but it's like there's so many memories that I'm like, I wish I didn't have this. Sometimes, it's just, they're not necessarily bad, all bad memories. It's just that some stuff that just feels kind of pointless in a way, or just has no connection with me. And I have these memories of, like me doing that. And sometimes, like, it's a little embarrassing because of pretty much what I was saying, what I was doing back then, and how it is very different from where I am at right now. Right now being, a time where I kind of like know who I am in a way that I have never really known before. I kind of like am figuring myself out. So for example, I'm very excited about things. I'm very excitable as well, and that is, something that was lost, to me for like many years. So it's good that I'm back, like in this state of mind. Hold up, I should let that again. I'm back. But yeah, so I look back and there's so many memories that I have that I'm like, this is kind of like taking up space, and there's so many things I don't remember that I wish I did. So it feels very unfair in a certain way, because I'm kind of like stuck. I feel sometimes it feels like I'm stuck in a limbo, where I haven't really gotten to the point I want to get, but I'm also not at the how I was at the very beginning. So I'm kind of like somewhere in between. But sometimes, this process, it feels like it's not really happening. It's not at a rate that I want it to happen. So it can be discouraging, and I don't want to be discouraged by that. But like as I said, fantasies are like a good example, because like I end up getting lost in them. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up right now because I really kind of like need to lay down, and yeah, maybe I'll continue, maybe not. So who knows? Bye.